What's up, everyone? Sean Patterson with Patterson Polymer Project. And in this episode, we are going to talk about what you can expect from polymer chemistry and what you should know going into polymer chemistry should you choose to study this field. And so at this point, I haven't been posting on the internet because I've actually been doing work and understanding the concepts. I basically took all the undergraduate concepts that I needed to know and learned them in a month. And so I'm gonna share some insight based on what I learned and also give you a little heads up on what you should know or how you should be thinking going in. So what you should expect, basically going into this, you're gonna talk about things in terms of definition, gonna do a lot of defining and a lot of categorization. So you're gonna say, okay, this is a homopolymer, this is a copolymer, this is a blend, etc., etc. This is atactic, isotactic, syndiotactic, okay? And then you know, like I said, it's categorization. Even so, that's just like static in terms of static at isolated moment in time. But then you have reactions. So you say, okay, how do I characterize these reactions? Like, how do I classify these? You got step growth and then you got chain growth. Those are the main two types of reactions in polymer chemistry. And then you learn about thermodynamics, which no, I guess like nobody really understands thermodynamics. You just think you do. That's just truth. And then the kinetics of the reactions. Then you characterize polymers with instrumental methods such as NMR, IR, DSC, X-ray diffraction, so on and so forth, okay? And then coming to a close, really, we look at a macro and say like, hey, this is a glass. You look at the different transitions of polymers under different conditions, okay? And then also you look at semi-crystalline polymers. You look at their behavior, and then you look at mechanical or rheological properties. Truth be told, I'm still learning, so I couldn't really give you a exact note. I get the exact explanation without note, but I will give you some content explaining what I've learned. So what I would say in summary of what you should know going into this, you've gotta think and you've gotta morph your brain as with any chemistry subject. You've gotta morph your brain into thinking in terms of, number one, understand the distinction between isolated moments in time and continuous moments in time, okay? So there'll be times when you're looking at a polymer in an isolated moment, and then the professor will just all of a sudden switch and say like, okay, over T on a graph, he or she will switch to a graph and say, yeah, so over a time period, this is what happens. This is the behavior that happens, and the professor will explain what happens, and then you have to extrapolate based on what property you're analyzing. You gotta like paint a story of what's going on over that time period. Number two, I would say understand what environment you're gonna be in. Okay, so for example, when you have a small reaction vessel versus an industrial reaction vessel, conditions are going to determine what happens with your synthesis. This is what based on just a theory that I read. So basically, different reaction size vessels will determine what you'll be able to do. Even the size of your lab will determine what you'll be able to do. So just understand, like, okay, you're having a problem measuring this property of a polymer. You might not be able to get the result you want because your lab simply isn't big enough. So there's that. So just understand what environment you're in is what I'm saying. Let me think of another example. Give me 10 seconds to think of another example. Can't think of one, but if I do, I'll let you know. 3, understand the difference between micro and macro. So basically, with polymers, we look at microstructure. We don't look at the molecular structure. We look at the microstructure. In terms of things like isotactic, syntactic, and atactic conformation. And the thing is, you're looking at the microstructure, you see the repeating unit or the monomer, and it's your job while you're looking at that to say, okay, how would this manifest itself in the real world? So I've got like this right here, this iPhone case. What kind of polymer structure would yield that solid form? You know what I'm saying? It's solid, so you know that they're closely packed at room temperature, right? It can withstand it can withstand temperatures of like 90 degrees because it didn't melt in the summer and it's winter now. So it's, you know what I'm saying? Just be thinking of that stuff like that. Let's see. Mathematics are important. And the thing is, I'd say also, like, in tandem with that, number 4, understand graphs, okay? I mentioned that graphs earlier. Understand what graphs are telling you, okay? You know, when my general chemistry class, general chemistry class I took outside of high school, my professor said, look, if you want to get good at chemistry, learn to understand the pictures, because the pictures will tell you what is going on with the words. And so chemistry is like storytelling in a way, especially polymer chemistry, because behaviors can be quantified. So that's basically what I've got for you all today in this episode of Patterson Polymer Project. Like I said, I've just gone over what we talked about in these undergraduate polymer chemistry courses, and I'll be teaching in a minute. Hopefully you'll like it. I think you will. And that's basically it for this episode. So take it easy and be on the lookout for more cool stuff. Bye.